What's up guys, kevincage here with another crypto update. In today's video, I'm going to dive into why I personally believe now that Bitcoin creates an all-time high price this year. We'll start this video off diving into this, we'll talk about bearish concerns as well, and then we're going to dive into a new alt I did just take a position into last night called QUBIC. So seeing that BitTensor and other AI sector related assets have done very well, we know BitTensor is already at a $4 billion market cap and it could possibly go much higher. So we'll run through a few things related to QUBIC today, going over its use case, knowing that the founder of QUBIC was one of the co-founders of IOTA. I do find that interesting. And as AI grows over the coming years, there's definitely going to be more crypto AI sector projects that reach multiple billions in market cap. The question is, which ones? So we'll run through a few things today for Bitcoin, maybe ALGO, HBAR, and then QUBIC. Let's kick it off. Alright, so first up for Bitcoin, there's been a few things I've been looking at before I can confidently call for an all-time high price, and one of them was getting a full weekly candle above the 50% retracement. So a full close of the wick and body included. My original post was back in September, just showing after we get a full close over the 50%, we have historically headed right to an all-time high price without any substantial pullback. So 2013, we have 2016, very similar. Notice we never got a full close above the 50% there, came back down. Once we did, we started heading to an all-time high. 2019, the same thing. Notice the 50% retracement with candle bodies was actually resistance. Yes, we got a wick up to the 618 just like the previous cycles, but we fell back down into reaccumulation once more to the 11.8 and the 0.059. So right now, this is the only major bearish concern I have is falling down to these fibs, and that would be equivalent to Bitcoin today around 20,000. The recent retweet I did was on February 9th, actually showing the exact counts after we got that full close. So that was 28 days, this was 98 days, and then this took anywhere from 35 to 49 days until a new all-time high. Even in 2020, we had wicks touching this level. Once we got a full, clear close above this level, we headed to an all-time high. So for me personally, I don't believe Bitcoin gets up to a 3618 Fibonacci extension. So that's why in today's chart, the highest extension I have is not the 3618 like last cycle, but down to the 2618 at 150k. I also should have included the 127 extension near 80k that goes hand in hand with the 5.3 calculation. I was using a different template on TradingView and completely forgot. But anyways, what does this mean? This is one of the criteria I wanted to see because historically Bitcoin after doing this has created a new all-time high price within 28 to 98 days. So if we rhyme with the last three cycles that I shared in September, Bitcoin should create a new all-time high price between March 18th to May 27th of this year. There are still a few other things I'm looking at, including monthly RSI for February, so we have about 10 to 11 days until we get that close, but right now it looks great. Here's Bitcoin today in 2024 on the left. On the right, we have the 2016-2017 run-up, so we're already at a higher retracement, and it looks more like early 2017. If we compare today to the 2019 crash back to reaccumulation, you can see those fib levels and also the CME gap we've shared before, but right now we have gotten up to the 702. And the RSI already drew a similar structure that we had back in March 2020. So me personally, just looking at the weekly RSI right now, it looks more like we are in early 2017 or November 2020 before all-time highs. So we know in 2013, we went way past the 4.236. I'd have to check the chart, but I think we got up to the 34 fib extension, which is super high. 2016, I believe we got up to maybe the 8 or 13. I'll have to double check. I've shared it in previous videos. And then 2020, or during the 2021 all-time high, we got up to the 3618. So it's diminishing returns. And that's why for this cycle at the moment, I'm gauging between the 127 to the 2 extension, so 80,000 to 120k. And the absolute highest I could see Bitcoin going in this cycle, if we're lucky, and this would be the moon scenario, would be the 2618 at around 150k. And if we somehow get up here or even past this over the next 2 years, I'll be a happy camper. I made a 30-minute video covering Bitcoin about 3 weeks ago called Bitcoin Price Chart. In that, we showed and measured the cycle lengths top to top, low to top, halving to top, election to new all-time high, and the halving to new all-time high. So all of these numbers show 2024 or the very end of 2025. So I wanted to share that because I find it interesting. Even Raoul Pal points out the election years, the halving, and the business cycle or the debt refi cycle are always the same year. So number one, we got a full weekly close above the 50% Fibonacci retracement, check. Number two, we're going to find this out within the next 10 days. We have 10 days and 7 hours for February. I want to see where the monthly RSI is at during this close. We're currently at 68, above the level I want to see, which is 66.2. This has been resistance back in 2019 as well as 2016 before heading into all-time highs. So we're going to find this out in the next 10 to 11 days. Provided Bitcoin doesn't crash right to 40,000 by the end of this month, I think we get it. and every time Bitcoin's monthly RSI has pierced into the white 70 plus, it has always created a new all-time price, every single cycle, even here where there's bearish divergence. And number 3, this is my third consideration of seeing Bitcoin create a new all-time price within the next few months. So I posted this on January 7th, and what I did here was looked, instead of at the all-time prices or the cycle tops, I looked at the tops of the monthly RSI or the momentum. So 2013, we had the monthly RSI peak aligned with the high, and this took 1,200 days until creating a new all-time price. And if we zoom in, we can see the monthly RSI even poked above 70, yet to create a high, but it did lead to a new all-time price. 2017, the monthly RSI was aligned with Bitcoin's top right there. We measure until we broke into a new all-time price. That was 1,096 days. Now the tricky part, or what's different about this cycle, is we had the momentum here during that first high back in March of 2021, but Bitcoin's next high here, when it got closer to 69K, taking out the previous high, we had bearish divergence, but we still pierced 70. So for these last two cycles, we measured from the peak of the RSI. So if we measured from the peak of the RSI, and we were within the lengths of the previous cycles, the 4-year cycle and the 3-year cycle, that would mean Bitcoin creates a new all-time price between March of this year to July of this year. So March, if we follow the length of this cycle, 1,096, and then July if we follow the length of this cycle. However, if we took the longest cycle and just applied it and measured it from the all-time price instead of the peak of the RSI, that would take us to March of 2025. And just to finish up with Bitcoin quickly, we've had these fair value gaps plotted for a long time. We can see that a wick filled this level perfectly, and notice this is right on the 702, the top of this range, as well as I believe the weekly R2, and we've shown this several times. So the weekly R2 is at the beginning of the fair value gap. As we zoom in, we can see the wick filled this fair value gap or imbalance almost perfectly. So because of all of those things I shared, I believe Bitcoin has a great shot at an all-time price over the coming months. We have about 10 days for February's close, so that will be very important to look at the monthly RSI as well. I still can't rule out the classic rejection of the 702 Fibonacci retracement after filling this imbalance and coming back down to the 21-week EMA. We've talked about the importance of holding this level. I want to see Bitcoin holding above 40,000. But at this point, per the retracements and the structure of the RSI, it looks more like we're in early 2017 or November 2020. So hopefully I've shared why I believe now that Bitcoin creates an all-time price and we have a great shot between March and July of this year. And I don't think it's crazy to say that at this point. Keep in mind we're at 52,000 already. We need about a 32% pump to create a new high. I just wanted to share some of the data I'm looking at that goes into my thought process. We can look at infinite amounts of data, and at the end of the day, we're all guessing. So we're going to see what happens. I want Bitcoin to create an all-time high so alts can finally rocket after a few years, and the worst case I see is Bitcoin crashing back down to 20K. By the open CME gap down here, let me adjust this so we can actually see the fractions. Let me add my template to show all the 236 fractions right there. So we know in 2019 we only got up to the 618. We've already gone higher, but in 2019 we came all the way down here. But at this point, I'm rooting for all-time highs. I could see us coming back down to the 21-week EMA as long as we stay in this channel. And the most bullish case where I get super excited is just breaking out of this ascending channel upwards. All right, a couple quick things for HBAR and ALGO, then we'll dive into QUBIC. So yesterday we were talking about the importance of passing this previous high at 10 cents. This wick, we have this wick, and it looks like HBAR is officially breaking out of accumulation after a couple years. So, you know, being on YouTube when assets are in accumulation for hundreds and hundreds of days isn't fun. We can talk about price action, but we need price action. So now we're finally getting the volume and moves, and hopefully this year's a lot more fun than the previous two. We can see the weekly RSI is starting to pierce into overbought. Momentum is pushing, and I'm really just targeting this first fair value gap. I want to close this entirely as high as 12.5 cents. I'd like to see each of these purple rectangles taken out one by one, and if we do, then we can entertain much higher levels and retracements. So fully closed, 12.5. We have last year's pivot at 13.7. We have the 236 and this fair value gap as high as 18 cents. HBAR at an all-time high market cap like it was last cycle at 7 billion would be about a 20-cent HBAR considering inflation. I believe Hedera is a monster and easily surpasses 7 billion in market cap in the future. Keep in mind that even Cardano reached a $99 billion market cap without utility at scale and without even regulatory clarity. So for HBAR to reach $1 with the current circulating supply, it would need over a $33 billion market cap. When its full supply is in circulation, it needs a $50 billion. And just considering that Solana, Cardano, ADA all surpassed a $50 billion market cap last cycle, I believe Hedera can in the future. My only question is, will we see that this cycle? We have to close all of these fair value gaps before I'll entertain maybe the 618, 702, around 40 cents. Then we can entertain all-time high and then higher. And we have to consider that even meme coins like Doge, they have a massive community, so don't get me wrong, its market cap was over 80 or 90 billion last cycle alone. So my whole thesis is what can utility do to actually drive adoption and demand of these networks in the future with regulatory clarity? Okay, super quick for ALGO. So we have John Woods. He is the CTO of the ALGO Foundation. He's an awesome CTO for ALGO, and he just did an interview with All in Crypto. So an amazing interview. I know that All in Crypto has had John Woods on a few times. Thanks so much for doing this. If you hold ALGO, it is well worth your time to watch this 51-minute video. I threw it on 2x speed, went through it this morning. Phenomenal. So there's a bunch of great information shared in this. John Woods highlights that they're finally bringing Python 2 smart contracts to Algorand. And he said they should be launching this quarter by the last week of March. And in this video, he talks about a bunch like quantum resistance, consensus incentivization, and just emphasizing with Python natively, and developers can now build on Algorand. He says it's one of the most game-changing things they've done in developer tooling, and I wish they had this years ago. So really quick for ALGO, we know it got absolutely hammered this bear market, just kept crashing, creating a new all-time low price, down 96, almost 97% using that wick. So some exchange charts show ALGO going over $5 with some liquidity wicks, but for the most part, I consider ALGO's all-time high price right around $2.50. Last time Bitcoin broke into a new all-time high price, alts pulled back, ALGO from that low after Bitcoin pushed into a new high, did over a 9, maybe even over a 10x return. Because a 950% increase is actually a 10.5x. So that was the move when Bitcoin went from 20k to 69k. So now we ask, if Bitcoin goes from 69k to 80k or 120k, every $50,000 added to Bitcoin is essentially $1 trillion in market cap. So a $3 trillion market cap for Bitcoin would roughly be $150,000 per BTC. So we're seeing diminishing returns, but we're also seeing trillions of dollars more entering the market. So ALGO's all-time high market cap was $15 billion. If it reached that all-time high market cap again, and the last time I did this was maybe a couple months ago, I don't think this changed too much, this would be $1.80 per ALGO up here. And the highest weekly open fair value gap or a massive sell-side imbalance is all the way up to $1.30. So I know the ALGO price chart has been absolutely hammered this bear market, but I still believe in its potential. And even in 2023, I took a larger position, probably March or April, right before the crash. I saw this setup, was expecting a golden cross, and then boom, complete crash. And this was after the My Algo hack, so I thought the sentiment was better, completely messed up. And of course, during this drop, the SEC calls ALGO a security after Gary Gensler, the SEC chair, has publicly said that you could build Uber or run Uber on top of Algorand. So we just crash, and I DCA'd as much as possible. My average for ALGO is nothing to brag about, probably around 15 cents still. And with the probability of Bitcoin creating a new all-time high price this year or next year, along with ALGOKit 2.0 and native Python development, it looks really good considering these imbalances. Especially with Bitcoin pushing to new highs, we're going to see a variety of assets do 5, 10, 20x returns. And of course, low caps can see those 50, 100x moves. We shared that QNT and XDC last cycle, when they were smaller at the time, did 40 to 49x's after Bitcoin broke into a new high. So for all the guys that say ALGO will never reach $1 again when we're at 8 cents, I believe it does. Alright, let's run through QUBIC. I'll be brief and I'll shout out some channels and videos that I saw that I liked that had some great information along with the docs, the website, wallet, just information to do your own research. I'm not telling anybody to buy this one. This is still highly speculative. I'm simply looking at it from the perspective of Bitcoin creating a new all-time high, comparing AI sector assets like Tau, and really just taking a play. So first up, I wanted to shout out NATO. His Twitter handle is NATO Worlds. He's the reason that I'm actually in QUBIC. He's been talking about it for months. I researched it a little bit, was kind of confused, but just kind of watched more developments. And with the recent price action yesterday, of course, I finally took a position yesterday. So full credit to NATO here. He's been posting this since he bought it months ago. Still hasn't been listed on any major exchanges. So when we look at QUBIC on CoinGecko, the information is not really there and it's not quite accurate. It's only on a few exchanges. This seems to be accurate on CoinMarketCap thus far, per QUBIC's Twitter saying that they finally got listed on CoinMarketCap and are showing the accurate numbers as far as I can tell. In terms of markets, I'm not recommending any. I did just use Safe Trade last night and it was a heck of a process. So some of these exchanges are scary, especially with any big buys. I know many investors have used these for years. With Safe Trade, I deposited some Tether, was able to buy QUBIC relatively quickly, and I was like, all right, let's set up my wallet and let's withdraw. So here's my account on Safe Trade. This was late last night, and I was trying to withdraw these transactions. I did see that Safe Trade in their announcement said there's some issues with QUBIC's blockchain integrating into the exchange. I don't think it's necessarily a QUBIC network issue, but I'm not sure. I just know that Safe Trade has done all the work per other videos I watched that are listing QUBIC, and I would love to see QUBIC listed on other exchanges like Mexi, KuCoin, Bitrue, etc. But you can see that when I tried several withdrawals, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them completely failed. So I was like, oh, what's going on? It just took a little bit of time. I had to keep retrying, but eventually I was able to withdraw all my funds. And you can see QUBIC's official website if you go to CoinMarketCap, and you can see their official website right there. And as you scroll down, you can see they have a few different wallet options. So I just set one of these up and I just gradually transferred my QUBIC, making sure it's getting there, making sure I'm backing up my keys. And I highly recommend, in general, always doing multiple backups of your keys, whether you're using a password manager, writing things down, etc. So here we can go through the docs, learn all about it, learn about governance, use cases. However, I don't see anything updated for the roadmap, milestones, features, history, so I'd have to check their Discord. You just want to make sure, because you never know how legitimate some of these projects are. And I know the majority of people in crypto are here to make money. They don't care if some things don't look legit or even are potential scams, because during bull runs we have seen scams do insane pumps first, but there's still a lot of things I want to check just to understand it. It makes me feel better that he was a co-founder of IOTA, but there's still other things in terms of due diligence. So I'll be doing a lot more research on this one in particular. It's on very few exchanges. That is a really good thing if we get listed on more exchanges. But entering any relatively new assets of course comes with more risk. Two great videos I watched last night is this one by I Explain Crypto, What is QUBIC? Just a 9-minute overview going over this. Tons of great information in this one. And per the project Agarth or iGarth, it's a software that's running on different computers and people can give away spare computational power and find solutions for AI-related tasks. So this goes hand in hand with ANNs, or artificial neural networks. And another great video I watched last night was by Crypto Empire, so he was talking about this 2 months ago and highlighting QUBIC. When you watch this other one, you get a better idea of the tokenomics, and it is quite confusing at first because you just see this massive supply. When I was first watching this, I'm like, what the heck? There's 1 trillion QUBIC released every single week, and I believe a 1,000 trillion or 1 quadrillion max supply. And this lasts for about 19 years. I believe I saw the year somewhere around like 2041. But they also implement burning as a deflationary measure. And this was a fair launch, no pre-mining, no VCs, no early investors, which I like to see. And overall, as AI grows in the future, assets like BitTensor, Tau, QUBIC, they all have great potential. And I can't say I understand even close to all of this yet, or even the ramifications of the future with artificial neural networks. But using computational power on QUBIC network to solve these AI-related tasks could be big. And there will be some project that still has first mover advantage and solves this really well, maybe even multiple, and we're still early in the scheme of AI. I know AI has been around for decades, but with the recent innovations in generative AI, it's only going to get better, especially as enterprises are now digitizing their information and organizing these data sets and serializing all this information better. And it creates a large flywheel effect as AI models and these ANNs improve. So use cases for QUBIC, its native token is QU, this is cubic units. Users globally can tap into this network for a plethora of computational needs, from running complex simulations for training AI models. And for smart contracts, they promise sub-second finality, that's huge. Enabling developers to create more efficient dApps and also expand the potential for real-time interactive dApps, which should be the future, it should be instant. For micropayments and cubic units, QUBIC provides a mechanism for feeless transfers. The micropayments use case for a variety of networks is huge. We've heard David Schwartz years ago talk about how big this market is. Because in industries today, these micropayments are frequent transactions hindered by transaction fees and of course middlemen and just overall inefficiency. And this can be a wide scope, content monetization, and then IoT communications. And I forget the actual stat. Maybe it's by 2030 or 2027, they believe over 100 trillion IoT devices will be connected to the internet. And that's in general for the globe. That's not necessarily QUBIC, but that's huge. Powering AI training and validation. So they use, instead of proof of work, it's called proof of useful work. In training with these ANNs or artificial neural networks. This can significantly contribute to AI development, offering a robust and decentralized platform for training and validating AI models. So we talked about micropayments, IoT, think about transportation, supply chain, and logistics. Fast, secure, scalable platform, real-time tracking, and automation of supply chains becomes feasible. So we've seen sub-second finality and feeless transfers, and to my knowledge though, for smart contracts, they still charge a commission. I need to read more about it, and I need to check if the validators decide on what the commission charge is for smart contracts. So this is the founder of QUBIC. This has come from Beyond on Twitter. He was one of the co-founders of IOTA back in the day. And I know everybody that's been around in crypto 2017, 2018 knows IOTA. So the founder of QUBIC right here, his name is Sergey, one of the co-founders of IOTA. And I believe in this video, this gentleman, Crypto Empire, also highlights that Sergey back in the day was talking about QUBIC and the idea probably 10 plus years ago. So as I do more research, it looks like this has been in development for a very, very long time. So this is a project I'll be keeping tabs on. There's still a few concerns I want to better understand because you just never know in this space, and it's best to just stay permanently paranoid in crypto. But just taking a glance at the network, it looks like it has a lot of interesting features. So we discussed the burn mechanism. This is something I want to look more into. We have this person right here. If QUBIC goes to a $100 billion market cap, then KASPA, KAS, goes to a $250 billion market cap. And the founder of QUBIC says, with burns, QUBIC market cap can become lower while the price becomes higher. So this is something I want to look more into to wrap my brain around and, try to conceptualize it. I've also seen Braver Crypto share some things related to QUBIC, and we also saw that Dr. Martin of Uphold said he went through the QUBIC white paper 3 times and it still doesn't make sense, and he's highly skeptical, so that's something to keep in mind. And again, to any QUBIC holders, I hold it, I'm rooting for it, I'm not spreading FUD, I just think it's important to always do your own research and be paranoid. People are paranoid about a variety of assets. Some do very well, and some really don't take off. And over the past couple months, it's been doing really well. And I'm just trying to share some things I saw. So Dr. Martin over at Uphold, we did due diligence on the project and it didn't pass a single one of our 48 checks. The most worrying thing is the team announcing future exchange listings on social media. They should know that this is an absolute no-no if they want to get listed. I believe he meant to say on respectable platforms. And then there is the founder who has started the project. 3 of them are defunct and 2 of them only took off after he left. I'm staying away from this and will no longer comment on the project. I have more important things to do. So that is something I'm considering. I don't have a huge position by any means. I'm just taking a speculative gamble with other AI sector assets and the potential of Bitcoin taking off. So here we're on this website, app.qubic.li, looking at the Network Explorer. We can see the total supply of QUBIC today, and we can see the market cap of 573 million. I definitely need to research this for a few more weeks, pop in the Discord, see what's what, and just check on a few other things. With these early projects, it is hard to sometimes get visibility. Not that I've done any deep dive by any means, but you just never know in this space. So I just wanted to do a high-level introduction to QUBIC. A lot of these newer assets, there's higher risk. There is high potential if we did reach multiple billions of market cap, even similar to Tau. As I research more and I really like what I see, I'd be comfortable in taking a big position, but right now I'm just taking a speculative gamble. So for any QUBIC holders that may be watching this video, friendly reminder, I'm a complete noob when it comes to this network, but I am looking into it. I wanted to share Martin's comments and see if there's any other information out there as I continue doing my own research. I'm rooting for it. So anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Remember that nothing I share is financial advice. I'm just sharing my opinion and what I'm personally doing, right or wrong. I hope you enjoyed. Big thanks to all that hit the like button, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.